Okay, landing on automatic. What have they transferred me to this week? Sometimes you're faced with a mess to clean up. Sometimes they don't even give you a broom. But it looks like this time they've given me needlefish.
Battle stations! Battle stations! Man spotted, bearing 335, hot!
Well, I hope the long flight was worth it. Let's see what we've got to do. Must have transferred me out here for some reason. Okay. Right. Okay. Swordfish. Barge Island should be good. Handy's force shield though. No target spotted yet. What else have we got? Fuel. Oh, another barge island. Right. Okay. It's, well, I might run out of fuel at least. Greetings, carrier commanders. Sometimes you don't have all the equipment and arms you need to tackle the campaign in front of you. More than once I've been backed into the situation where I'm low on aircraft, I can't build more torpedoes or bombs, or I've run out of things like bears, and I have an island to clear and I've got ships to sink. Now, if you have the money, one option is to build a little fleet needlefish. If it's a resource constrained scenario like this one, where I can't build any more torpedoes, then this literally is the only way of getting more torpedoes or more 160mm or more cruise missiles. We have here a ship to sink. It is, of course, Swordfish. Now, they are quite a threat to the carrier if you get close. They will fire torpedoes at you. They are a threat to your aircraft. If you get within its 4 or 5 kilometer range, it will fire anti-aircraft missiles at you. And if you get too close, it'll shoot at your aircraft with Sea-Wiz. The Swordfish can be pretty tricky to take on if you don't have bombs, aircraft, and you're low on torpedoes on your carrier. It's almost impossible to hit with a cruise missile unless you're really lucky and it's running away from you and the Sea-Wiz is on the front. But sometimes you don't have any option. Sometimes you've got to try and kill a needlefish or a swordfish, and all you've got is other needlefish. And needlefish, of course, come in 4 flavours. You have Sea-Wiz, 160mm gun, torpedo, and cruise missile. Now, sending any one of these things up against a swordfish, you're probably going to lose the needlefish. The swordfish has got a 160mm gun and torpedoes, and can, left to its own devices, can easily take out a unsuspecting needlefish. Now, the Sea-Wiz needlefish isn't going to be a lot of use here. The swordfish over there doesn't have cruise missiles. It's not going to fire anything that the Sea Whiz Needlefish can do anything about. So we're going to try and sink that Swordfish, first of all using the Torpedo Needlefish. Now, torpedo fish are probably the most expensive way of buying 2 torpedoes. The ship costs 10,000 credits and you get 2 torpedoes for your trouble. That's a lot of money for 2 torpedoes, but when it's your only option, when you can't manufacture them yourself or you're too far away from your supply lines, then it's better than nothing. Now, unlike the aircraft torpedoes, you can't manually launch them. The Needlefish can only launch its torpedoes using waypoint commands. So that's what we're going to do. Just like air launched torpedoes, the torpedoes have a active delay, a time in seconds before the seeker head on the torpedo goes active. A time where it'll ignore noisemakers, but it also won't track targets. And we need to, just like with normal torpedo use, we need to launch at the right time and the right delay. But you can't change the delay. So just like aircraft torpedoes have a 60-second delay, Needlefish torpedoes have a 50-second delay, which means they will travel about 3 kilometers before they go active. You also can't aim them quite in the same way. The torpedoes come out of the front of the ship, so anytime they fire, and they will fire regardless of what way the Needlefish is pointing, they'll have to make a turn if they're not pointing straight at the target. So 50-second delay, 3 kilometers, which means we need to launch our torpedoes probably when we are about 3.5 kilometers from our target. The Needlefish fires its torpedoes out the front. We need it to be travelling directly towards the target, and we need to fire its torpedoes at about 3.5 kilometers. So we're going to fire one there at 3.9 and then get a bit closer, 3.4. So with a bit of luck, we'll avoid the incoming torpedo fired from the Swordfish, and our Needlefish's 2 torpedoes will launch and go active before the Swordfish fires any noisemakers at us. So first one away there. So proceeding to the next waypoint, it's going to fire the second torpedo, which will probably have to make a bit of a curve. Any second. There we go. Splash. Now, you can of course try and save your Needlefish from nasty torpedoes with a little bit of careful manual control, which I think we've just done. And then you can go back to the carrier and rearm. Here we go. We launched at the right time. 50-second delay. This one was pointing a bit away from a target when it fired, so even though we were closer, it had to turn, so it used up a little bit of its delay. So now we've got 2 torpedoes on target to this Swordfish. We should get at least 1 hit. Yep. Now it might fire a noisemaker now, so it's already fired 1, but it does have a bit of a cooldown, so we're probably going to be lucky here. But right now would be about the worst time for it to launch a noisemaker. Scratch 1. So we've covered torpedoes, and we've covered using them from the carrier and aircraft before. What about getting closer and using the big guns? Right, we could do it with the carrier. but the Swordfish is actually a pretty big danger to us. We can't move out of the way very quickly unless we're really on the ball and see the shots coming in when they're fired, and it can cause us a lot of harm. It's basically got an infinite supply of 160mm shells, and you only need to get about 12 of them onto a carrier to sink it, so it is a realistic threat to us. At the same time, a needlefish armed with guns is a realistic threat to a swordfish if you can get close enough. Just like with if you've fired the main gun while the carrier's moving, you'll know that the spread is awful if you're in the waves and you're not completely still. And the same is true for the needlefish. And this gunfish here has a nice 160mm gun on the deck, but it will fire it as soon as it wants to. It won't fire it without a command from a waypoint, but it will, even if you're not standing still, even if you're at extreme range. So much like the torpedoes, you need to get close, and separate to the torpedoes, you need to manually take control and stop the needlefish moving before it opens fire. Otherwise, whatever you shoot is never going to get hit. So we need to get within gun range, which is this nice red circle, this 5km range, but the chances of hitting anything with the needlefish's guns at this range is pretty remote unless it's a stationary target on land. So I want to get to about, well, as close as I can. You need to get the needlefish close and also not get hit by torpedoes or 160. So I want to get to as close as possible. The closer you are to the swordfish, the better, because the spread on 160mm shells, anything more than about 2 or 3 kilometers, is pretty significant. So you need to take the needlefish under manual control the moment its turret starts to turn towards to shoot. You need to do that very carefully and stabilize the ship before it fires. So hopefully you can spot it start to turn, hit manual and stop. Here we go. He's already firing at us. Our ones are out. And a kill. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. So, if you've watched any of the Grim Reaper's wargame videos, you'll have probably heard Cap once or twice say the phrase time on target. And we're going to try and make use of that today with these needlefish. What it really means is aiming to get your missiles or bombers at the target all simultaneously, both at the same time. You're going to overwhelm your target with multiple things to deal with rather than simply having things to shoot at in a nice queue of sort of things one at a time. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use these hold points, hold orders. We're going to have a quick look at our target. There's our target swordfish that we dealt with earlier, magically resurrected. If you finish scanning it, you should see on the map the range circle of the swordfish's guns and torpedoes. As long as we stay outside that circle, that swordfish won't react to our needlefish. They'll be perfectly safe. So what I'm going to aim to do is I want both of our missiles to arrive at the ship at the same time. Now, the swordfish does have a sea whiz. It will be on either the front or the back. I think this one's on the front. If we fire a missile from here, from this aspect, from our carrier, it'll be easily intercepted by the sea whiz. I think the missile that will come in from the front will also be intercepted, but it isn't going to be able to shoot it for the front and the back at the same time. It can only shoot at one target. If a missile's coming from this direction, then it will have to turn round to use the sea whiz. So if you don't know, if you can't see clearly where it's coming from, then this attack from two opposite directions is a good way of having a bit of a guarantee that you're going to get a hit. So I'm going to put our both needlefish at the same distance and give them a hold point from the target. I'm going to move them a bit further south here, and I'm going to say, yeah, that's about 6 kilometers is where we want to attack from. So we're going to set that one up there. I'm going to do the same thing from this one. That's 8 kilometers there. I'm going to go here, call that 7. That's 6.3. 5.956. That'll do. So I'm going to set them both to have hold point alpha. I'm just going to launch this Petrel to give us an interesting bird's eye view. I'm going to send another needlefish to do the same attack from the side aspect, so we can see it intercept the cruise missile from there. It should only take one cruise missile to kill this swordfish, so this is a little bit of overkill, but it does show how you can do a time on target attack and overwhelm the target. Obviously, when you're doing this kind of multiple attack, you can do it from a lot further away, as long as you've got line of sight with the target from, say, an aircraft, and the ships, your needlefish are in weapons range in that great big red circle, then they'll launch. And if you've set up your hold points and your go codes, then you can do your time on target attack from very far away if you want to, and these things will never notice. So it's pretty good for dealing with very long range targets quite safely. Okay, so our needlefish are all in position. They're all 6 kilometers from the target, and they're all at their hold points. So here we go, that's what it looks like. Swordfish hasn't moved, so let's issue the attack order. Go code alpha. At the same moment, all of them are active and they all fire their missiles. So let's see what's going on. We've got one going in sideways, and that's definitely going to get intercepted. We've got this one coming in from astern of the swordfish, and another coming in towards the bow. Now, doing a time on target attack like this on one swordfish is probably a bit wasteful, but you could imagine doing the same kind of thing against multiple ground targets at an airfield, or even player controlled needlefish such as 160 torpedo or cruise missile ships, and having them all hit the same one, or all hit separate targets at the same moment, particularly if they don't have any sea whiz defense. But here we go. We're just about to, here we go. Sea whiz is active. It's killed the first one. It's not tracking for the second one and third one, and there we go. We've got a kill. So yeah, time on target, overwhelming, and different aspects all coming into play there. So I hope this has given you some new tricks to try out in your needlefish combat. And now I've just got to recapture this huge sea of barges. Thank you for watching.